you check the children? Show a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, here to do a review of a non-horror movie, which we do every now and again on the channel for some of the bigger releases. And today, I'm going to be talking about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. Now, let me just start off by saying when we did the trailer reactions for this movie, I was not overly excited because I felt it looked just not quite as good. It looked a lot cleaner than the last movie was in Fury Road, and a lot more CG it seemed like was going to be used, a lot more green screen. And that is the case, but I gotta be honest, after watching the movie, I have a few main takeaways. One, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, but two, I still think that this movie was about 45 minutes too long. It's 2.5 hours, and I think it's about 45 minutes too long, because I really felt the length. But it's not like it was stuffed with a lot of unnecessary things, you know? It's a lot of action, just like in the first movie. The non-action parts do develop the characters, so I don't know, you know, I do know, and I don't want to say what I would cut out, but there is a whole segment of the film, or a whole section of the story that I think could have been lost. You know, there's essentially 3 main factions in the Wasteland, and I think we probably could have done without one of them, and that would have saved on a lot of time. But nonetheless, it's all there, and so I'm going to judge it on what it is and not what it isn't. And so, yeah, overall, just to give my rating right up front, I feel like this was a B- movie, in my opinion. B-, yeah, probably B-. I was saying B-, C+ last night, and then I was like, well, maybe it's more B-, B-. So I'm just going to settle on B-. That's where I would rate it. But let me break it down a little bit more in depth without spoiling it. This movie is about a young Furiosa, and I do mean, you know, a young Furiosa because it's about an hour before Anya Taylor-Joy shows up to take over the role, and it's a younger actress playing it before that, and maybe even multiple younger actresses. I didn't check the cast afterwards to see if that was the case, but it very well could have been the case. And so it's about Furiosa and how she grew up in the Wasteland and what her, you know, kind of origin story is, and how she came to be in service of Immortan Joe and all of that good stuff. The movie does very much dovetail into Mad Max Fury Road very, very well. So much so that, you know, after the credits roll, they start showing some footage from Fury Road that kind of continues the story that was presented here a little bit. So, yeah, it's about Furiosa growing up in the Wasteland and getting battle-hardened. Obviously, if you saw Fury Road or the trailers for this movie, you see that Furiosa is missing her left arm, at least in some of the portions of the trailer. So, you know, being that it's her origin story, we do see how that happens, of course. And yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of things brought back from Fury Road, including Immortan Joe and the War Boys and everything. So it felt very much of the same universe, and it's really nice. That'll be a really cool double feature as long as you have. I remember Fury Road being long too, but I was told that it was only like an hour and 45 minutes. I don't remember that being the case, but either way, this is going to be at least 4 to 6 hours worth of material between the two movies, depending on how long that first one was. And it would be a fun little sit, you know, for a day, just octane-fueled action for a whole day. So I do think the film succeeded on that part. I think it unfortunately did have its frustrations to me. It did have its shortcomings. I'll touch on those again without spoiling anything, but that's the story in a nutshell without spoiling what happens, right? So there you go. Moving on from that, the acting was awesome. I enjoyed everyone in this. There were returning people from Fury Road, even besides the ones that I mentioned, and I won't go further than that, but everyone did a great job. Like, not a single person pulled me out by any stretch, and I will say that Anya Taylor-Joy she's basically the Mad Max of the film in that she's silent for most of the movie, and that's fine. I think that works in our favor, because we're just, you know, we're kind of a silent onlooker through the whole thing, and so she's sort of our way into that, and that's the way Max was in Fury Road as well. So, you know, it still works on that level for sure, but the acting was great. Anya just doesn't have as many of her tools in so much as being able to do as much as she can with dialogue, because she just doesn't have that much dialogue. So she has to get across a lot with just looks and everything like that, as in not her looks, but just literally her looks around, you know, when she looks at people and how she looks at things and stuff. So very successful in the acting range. The filmmaking is something that very much worth talking about. I do have to admit that there's probably a lot more green screen in this than in the last one. Maybe not a lot more though, because honestly, the trailers looked so odd to me green screen wise. I think they must have just touched stuff up, because I didn't notice the green screen as much as in this. I guess this is just going straight to the effects, and I'll circle back to the filmmaking itself. But effects wise, yeah, I didn't notice as much as the green screen as much as I thought I would. What I did notice is the CG body doubles that were utilized a lot in some of the wider shots when the action's going on the cars and everything. Some bodies just fall, and you can just tell immediately. It's like Call of Duty people just like falling, not even Call of Duty. So that was really noticeable when you could tell that there were just, you know, computer generated bodies falling off of cars instead of real ones. So that, you know, there just didn't seem to be as much practical utilized in this film as was utilized a decade ago in Fury Road, which I can't believe it's been that long. But that's effects-wise. Otherwise, there's still a lot of cool practical. There's a lot of good pyro and explosions and everything along those lines. They definitely don't shy away from. There's some interesting, you know, the poles and stuff that were utilized in Fury Road are utilized again here. A lot of the stuff are kind of in their more nascent stages, right? Because Fury Road comes later, and so they've been developed a bit more, but we did get to see some other things that we didn't see before, like utilization of parachutes or paragliders, things like that. So that was interesting. I did enjoy that. So action-wise, it was awesome. There was tons of action, tons of cool action, tons of practical action mixed with CG augmentations, and yeah, all of that was a good time. Filmmaking-wise, you know, it was very beautifully presented, I gotta say. Shooting everything down there, assuming they shot it all in Australia, because that's where it's set, and that's where a lot of the actors are from, including Chris Hemsworth. Oh, you know what? I need to circle back to him acting-wise. I just kind of glossed right over that, didn't I? But anyway, the scenery was beautiful. The filmmaking was very well done. It was claustrophobic when it needed to be claustrophobic, when you're in tight and there's danger around someone huddling away from, you know, wheels on a massive truck kind of thing. All of that was very well presented. The cinematography was on point, gorgeous, gorgeous a lot of the time, like nerve-wracking, you know, when it needs to be, and, you know, just really, really awesome filmmaking. George Miller, once again, proves why he's, you know, so talented in this arena. And, yeah, so all of that was great. Let me take a second to circle back acting-wise. Chris Hemsworth, he's interesting. He's one of the more entertaining parts of the movie, but I don't think he went far enough. I think that his character could have used even a bit more sauce, you know, like he needed to go full Jason Momoa from the last Fast and Furious movie, you know. Jason Momoa went over the top and had a blast. Chris Hemsworth just didn't go quite far enough. He was too grounded for me. He went a little nuts with some of his deliveries, but not nearly as far as I wanted him to go. So that was a little disappointing. His fake nose, you know, knowing it's a fake nose, I really hyper focused on it, and so I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It's not like it looked fake per se, but it didn't look right, obviously knowing what Chris Hemsworth actually looks like. So that was a weird kind of mixed bag for me. I enjoyed him, but he didn't go as far as I was hoping he would go with his crazy character. Finally, getting into the sound design. The sound design was incredible. I mean, all from the explosions to the mix, the dialogue mix over the crunching of metal and tires and just all kinds of good stuff. It was a feast for the ears. I did see this in IMAX, so the whole thing was a feast for the eyes and the ears. So it was just an entertaining ride. I do think it's worth seeing in the big screen, because big action like this is exactly why. This is exactly the kind of movie that it is worth spending money to see in the theater, because of the big bombastic action set pieces that are in it. So I do recommend seeing it in the theater. Just don't expect the story to blow you away. The story for the first one probably didn't either, so if you can, you know, get past that as you did in the first one and just enjoy the crazy action, then boom, you're set to go. Just be prepared that it's 2.5 hours of it. So yeah, I think that's going to do it, you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all the people at Allied for setting us up with this, or, you know, for letting us to go to this screening as press. We greatly appreciate it. And yeah, thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate that as well. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.